Good
Okay.
morning, Mario. Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
How are
How are
you?
you? Doing well. Doing well. I actually had to come out to my car
How come?
because my wife and daughter are waking up and cooking breakfast, and I knew it just wouldn't be quiet enough. So I hope the connection is okay here.
I hope so too. For now, yes. Thank you so much for taking this time. I
Sure.
hope I am not like stealing the time from your wife and your daughter.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm always happy to share my story and help other people who stutter. Yeah, so again, thank you for reaching out.
Thank you. And it would be great if you could tell us like a little bit about you, who you are.
My name is Mario Salinas. I am a community organizer, I guess you could say. And I say, I guess you could say, because I never really aimed to become a community organizer, right? I just sought out the things that I loved to do. And a big part of that was making an impact in the small part of the world around me and helping to empower others. And through that, I found myself doing things that I never thought I would be able to do as a person that stutters. And these things were like making daily presentations to students, talking to strangers, registering them to vote, giving inspirational speeches, giving guest lectures to university students on how to empower and engage people through sharing our personal story, right? So, all of these things are things that growing up as a person with a severe overt stutter, I never thought I would be able to do. But thankfully, I found a program that worked for me. Not only did it give me the physical tools, but it also helped to change my mindset. And after that, my life really took a turn for the better, and I've been able to do these things. So, as of right now, I work as the coordinator for a community center. We are currently closed to due to COVID, but we hope to open up soon. And what I'm doing now is reaching out to different members in the community, asking them if they would like to teach a class or, what can they offer in my building when things open up, right? So again, I'm constantly interacting with people, doing outreach, really helping to create a space of empowerment, of culture, and of community.
What do you like the most about your job?
So, what I like the most about my job is as people who stutter, we probably know that not many people know people who stutter, right? And so, the first time that they meet us, they might make certain assumptions about us, right? The first being that we're nervous or that we're anxious, right? And for some of us, that might be the case. But for some of us, hey, that's just how we talk, right? And so we get to educate people, right? And not only that, I've learned to use that education process as a doorway to make that connection. Because guess what? We are people who stutter. What we deal with, people can see, right? It's right there on the surface. But guess what? Everybody deals with something. And it might be something that no one can see. It might be something that only a small handful of people know about. It might be something that no one else knows about. But everyone in this world has something they have to deal with day in and day out. And by us being more human and more vulnerable and more honest, then that helps to open up that door and to break down walls between people. And once people can see, hey, I'm doing this work because I really care about this work and I want to help empower others, then that helps us build that working relationship and that mutual respect. So every single interaction that I have, not only at work, but everywhere, is a chance to educate, and it's a chance to empower, and it's a chance to build a bond with someone else.
That's true because for many years, I wouldn't talk about this with anyone. And then recently, in the past 3 years, I really like started to be more open about and just talk about I stutter. For me, this is hard. Sometimes I'm very fluent, sometimes I'm not. And surprisingly, I felt that people really felt more like connected somehow to me because they can see I am just human, just like everyone else. And I think when you're more honest about who you are and your like everyday like struggles, I think people can more easily connect than when you always seem to be perfect, everything is perfect, and your life is so amazing, especially nowadays with this whole social media where everyone's life looks perfect. When you find someone that is vulnerable like everyone else, I think it's easier to connect on the human level.
Absolutely right. And a few points to your point. I mean, yes, social media, we all become content moderators, content creators, where we want to show only the best, right? Uh, but guess what? That's not real life. And we need to realize that real human connection, something that everyone needs, because that's just part of who we are as human beings, real human connection is built in the real world, face to face, right? Like right now, we're talking over Zoom, and that's great, right? But both of us are going to end this call and go on with our real lives. We have made that connection. We might think about this conversation throughout the day, but we still have to interact with others in the real world. That's just how things are.
Do you think stuttering had any impact in your career choice?
I think it did, but not in the way that most people think of it, right? I know plenty of people who stutter that work in accounting, that work in computer science because they thought, well, this is a job where I can just sit at my desk and I'm working with the numbers or I'm working with the code and I don't have to interact with people, right? In my case, I found a way to make my stutter a part of something that makes me successful in my work of dealing with other people, right? In that I can show that I'm a real person and they can see that even though I'm making presentations every day, I still get stuck on a word here and there. They can see the struggle, but they can also see that I'm doing it not because I'm a smooth talker or that because it's easy for me, but I'm doing it because I really care, right? If this guy is up here coming to my school telling me about the importance of registering to vote, about claiming my voice, about sharing my story with the rest of the world, he's doing it because he really cares. He's not doing it because it's just a job for him, right? And me being a person that stutters, when I would present to students, they didn't expect someone like me at all. Their teachers would say, okay, on Friday, we're having a guest speaker to come in and talk to us about registering to vote. And I'm sure the students would roll their eyes and say, oh man, this is going to be boring. He's going to talk about the levels of government and how a bill becomes a law or whatever, right? But no, I come in, the first thing I tell them is I tell them the same thing I told you. My name is Mario Salinas. A few hours after I was born, I was found dead in the hospital nursery. Thankfully, they were able to revive me. They told my mom I would never be able to walk or talk, right? I go through the whole thing, right? And I'm sure they're thinking, hold on, I thought this guy was going to come and talk about voting. Instead, he's telling us his life story, but it's a way for me to hook them in and be honest with them and share with them my journey. And then I say, look, I say all of this just to say that I'm here walking and talking in front of you today because even though I had to overcome these hurdles, I know that each of you has hurdles that you have to overcome. Your story is just as important as my story. Your voice is just as important as my voice. Voting is one way that we can have our voice heard, right? And that's where I make the pivot, right? But again, they can see that I'm coming from a real a real place. I'm not just there to make some sales pitch, right? I'm being open and honest with them. I'm making a connection with them. So in that way, voting, excuse me, stuttering has impacted my career choice in the sense that I was able to use my stutter as a way to connect with people. Again, I'll say that one more time. Use my stutter as a way to connect with people. And that's a way of thinking that most people that stutter, we don't think about our stutter that way. But guess
That's
what?
true.
We have the ability to change the way we think about our stutter and use that as not as a liability, but as an asset. So that's what I feel I've been able to do in the most successful aspects of my work. So in that way, I'm very lucky and happy that I've been able to do that.
I think it's a big challenge for a lot of us to go through this acceptance journey and really turn a negative thought about like stuttering into something that we can actually use in our favor.
It's all about how we look at it.
Yeah, totally. You always had leadership roles. What is like to have a career that heavily relies on communication while having a stutter?
Right. So I think it's just best to find tools that work, right? I found a knack of being able to inspire other people to act, right? To take action, right? Talking about, hey, we're all in this together. We're at an urgent time, but I believe we can do it. That's why we need to do this and this and this. Let's get going. Let's do it, right? That's part of it is being the enthusiastic leader that can drive people to act, right? But with everyday things like just making sure that the payroll gets done, or the rent check for the office is turned in, or the paperwork, that's just normal everyday stuff, right? And actually, I found that I'm a lot better with the human interaction than the administration side of it. The administration side of it, uh, to me, it feels like a chore. Some people are really good at it, right? That's why they're upper level because they're always on it. For me, it's more about interacting with the team, right? So actually, right now in my current role, even though I help to run the building I'm in, I'm a very small part of a bigger thing, right? I work for part of Harris County, the local government here. So I'm a small part of a bigger thing. But I like that because I'm in a level where I do get to interact with people, and I do get to build things to help empower them. So that's why I really like my job now.
That's great. And how do you overcome the fear of stuttering before you know that you have a public speaking situation where you have to talk?
Public speaking is a skill, right? If you look at anybody in a leadership position, chances are they're very good at doing public speaking. Most people aren't born being good public speakers. It's a skill. You have to grow it. It's almost like a sport, right? Any sport, any talent, any art, any dance, you have to work at it, right? And public speaking is the same way. I've been a part of Toastmasters now for over 10 years. And, Toastmasters is an international organization that focuses on public speaking skills, leadership skills. And I joined right after my first course, my first speech course that really helped me out as a person that stutters. I joined, and within that first year, I was elected to be president of my Toastmasters club. I was taking part in speech contests against people that don't stutter and winning over people that don't stutter. And so again, this opened up my eyes to wow, I can really do this, right? And I also, going back to my class clown days, my days as a class clown, I always wanted that all eyes on me aspect to it too, right? So it worked in that, but I was building up a skill that would help me out. Um, Later on, years after that, when I would go and make presentations at schools, you know what you're about to go into that room and tell them, right? It's a thing that you work on constantly over and over. And if you need to change things here and there, you can. To be better public speakers, we have to find ways that we can work on our public speaking skills. It's not a thing that we just wake up and we're good at it. No, we got to constantly work at it. And then B, you got to know what you're talking about. Because if you're up there trying to think about what you're going to say, and you're not thinking about how you're going to say it as a person that stutters, then you're just everywhere, right? If you know what you're going to say, you can focus on your speech more and say, okay, I know point A is la 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 la, point B is la 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 la. I'll make a joke in point C here, make them laugh, la 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 la, and then I'll close out with this, right? You know it in and out, so you can focus on how you're speaking and not have to think about, oh no, what's next? Oh, I forgot this. Oh, I should have made this into a chart or la la la. If you're doing that, your speech is gonna be horrible, right? So again, do your homework, know your content in and out.
That's very important to know what you are really talking about, and also I think to know that the people there, they are there to support you. They are not there to accuse you or like attack you. So I think this is also like important to go into this room not like immediately thinking people will judge me, people will think this and that, but just go like confident, and just knowing that people are there to really listen to you. I think that can help for us to be able to take the weight from our shoulders also, and also to see the audience not as an enemy, but more as a friend, you know?
I think to your point of looking at the audience as the enemy, that comes into play if you're trying to hide your stutter, because you're coming into it with the mind set of, oh, no matter what happens, I need to hide this part of me. And well, guess what? That means that every single word becomes a trap, right? And that's not a good place to be. You don't want to be doing anything that's hard for most people, which is giving a presentation and then having all these traps everywhere. No, let go of that stuff. Let go of it. You don't need that. And the only way you let go of it is saying, hey, as most of you know, I'm a person that stutters. If I get stuck on a word here or there, that's what's going on. It's not a bad connection. It's not lag. It's just me getting stuck here or there. But now that we have that out of the way, let's move on. Slide A, you can see is a chart of la 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 la, right? Poof. That way you get it out there, folks understand, and now it's just about the information you are giving them. It's not about your stutter anymore.
And do you think there has been something that helped you to stay focused and really pursue your career dream?
For me, I was lucky enough to find work that gave me purpose, right? Because my whole life, like I said, from the first hours I was born, I had to struggle. I had to fight. I had to prove people wrong. I had to go beyond what people thought I could do or couldn't do, right? That's a lot. And I know I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not easy, right? But if that journey can help empower others, then guess what? It was worth, right? If my speeches to young people help inspire them and say, wow, if that guy who came and spoke to us, if he could do it, I can too. Well, guess what? All those years of struggle and of hard work and of bad days, and it's all worth it because I'm helping to empower others, and it gives meaning to my journey. And so again, I've been lucky enough to find that. And if we as people who stutter are lucky enough to find work that helps give meaning to our life journey as people who stutter, great. I think that that's a great thing. But I will add this, it's okay if your work doesn't do that, but find something else that does. It might be art, it might be dance, it might be a hobby, it might be a group of people that you gather with every week, right? But find something that is yours that you can build on and say, man, I'm so happy that I have this that can help bring these other parts of who I am out. Because again, as human beings, we all have a need to do that.
What do you think has been the key to your career success? If you could name one thing.
right? Mm, that's a hard one. That one thing.
Okay, maybe two or three things.
Okay, okay. I would say I would say hope. Doing work that gives you hope, right? Because not only does it give the people that you're interacting with hope, but it also gives you hope, right? I know a lot of teachers, and I know they have a lot of hard days, right? But oftentimes it's that one student that they see growing, the one student that they knew was having a hard time, but they were able to grow past it, and they think, wow, I was able to help that student grow. That gives me hope. Well, guess what? As I interact with people and help to give them a safe space and help to give them a space where they can grow, that gives me hope. And also on those bad days too, right? There are sometimes when I might have a bad interaction, but guess what? Those bad interactions do not define who I am, right? I know that there's tons, hundreds of people that I've been able to touch and empower and give them hope, right? So that bad interaction is not a big deal when I think about the bigger impact that I've been able to have.
What advice would you give to people who stutter, who are currently like struggling to find a job, or they gave up on their career dream because of their speech impediment? What message would you give to them?
Yeah, yeah. I would say find a skill that you really love to do, right? If you love to do it, or even if you're good at it, right? That's key. That's very key, right? Because I mean, if we're talking about work, being very good at one thing is very important because guess what, right? If I'm good at this and this guy is good at this, if he doesn't stutter and I do, well, chances are, I don't know who will get that job. But if I'm very good at this and he's just okay at it, well, guess what? I'm the guy that's very good at it. And so you got to become very good. And also, when looking for work, I disclose as soon as I can. I disclose when I turn in my very first application if I can. Why? Because that protects you. Because you can say, look, from the very first thing that I turned in, I told you that I'm a person that stutters, right? You chose to interview me because you see that I have these skills that you want. So the interview, it's best if you can even tell them that you're a person that stutters before you have your interview. But if you cannot, get it out there as soon as you can. Thank you for talking to me. It's an honor to be here. Just so you know, I'm a person that stutters. It's no big deal, but I just want you to know in case I get stuck on a word here or there. But anyway, let's get on with things, right? Just put it out there because we know that sometimes people think that we're nervous or that we're not telling the truth when we stutter, right? Which of course isn't the case, but they don't know. So that's why it's so important for you to just put it out there as soon as you can. So that's my advice for if you're looking for work, just close as soon as you can. But also, number two is find something you're very good at. So in my case, I was able to register uh, the third highest number of people to vote in the biggest county in Texas, right? I did that. And I can always state that I did that. That's what I'm good at. And I did that because I would go and talk to these people, right? So that's the thing that I can always put out there. So have that thing that you can point to, that you can say, look, this is my proof that I'm good at what I do. That's very important to have.
Thank you so much, Mario. Your like strength is something that it's very impressive. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Yeah.
And I am pretty convinced that many people will also feel encouraged by it.
I just want to say thank you. I think this is a great idea. We see that there's people all over the world that deal with stuttering, that they're looking for hope,
True.
looking for tools. And I think this is a great thing that you're doing. Thank you so much. Again, keep up the great work. All right.
Thank you, Mario, and you too. Keep it up with this confidence and strength. And I hope to talk to you soon. Thank
All
you so
right.
much again for your time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.